I think it's time for people to wake up. That's the biggest problem. I mean, I think there's always going to be a chance to fix the world, but I do think time's running out.
Because I think that people could do much more and much better as one united humankind, not as the members of any particular country.
But if nobody helped, and if this idea stayed among a few number of people, nothing is gonna change. So let's each one from each part of the world put hands together, and it's action time. Everything is possible to make this human species one species.
Hello, my name's Daniel, and I want to talk to you about something called the World Federalist Movement. I'm one of the co-founders of the Young World Federalists, one of the newest member organisations of the movement. Back in the 1940s, two schools of thought appeared on how to fix things after World War II. The first school of thought was to establish a loose framework and a place where countries could talk. This effectively became the UN, in that it lacked a lot of enforcement power. The second school of thought that came around was to establish something more substantial, to establish something that could actually enforce rules and enforce laws that were passed at the global level. And this came to be known as the World Federalist Movement. The idea being that you would have some new democratic republic of humanity where people would pass up the minimum amount of authority to the very top so that they can make decisions on the things that affect absolutely everyone, from nuclear weapons to what would now be climate change. Because of course, without the authority, without the ability to actually enforce these laws and these rules, we end up with what is a stale meme now of the UN's strongly worded letter. Because instead, what we have in the UN in many cases is countries demonstrating their inability to cooperate, get along, and plan together. Instead, what we have is countries demonstrating that without some kind of framework, without the responsibility to the world, they often choose themselves and don't really think outside and sacrifice for the common good. This is one species on one planet. I mean, we bear the same risk of global warming and we bear the same risk of a nuclear war breaking out. All of us would be damaged by those things, but we seem unable to really plan around them as if we're all going to be victim to those forces when they occur. Now, of course, there are challenges. Of course, there's innumerable challenges with something like this. But I want to ask you something. Rather than focusing on the things that makes it difficult, why don't we focus on the fact that this is the human race? This is us. This is everything we've ever been a part of, the human civilization. Is this all we're ever going to do? Is this the pinnacle of human ingenuity? Human nations fighting over Earth, destroying each other, competing with each other over this small little piece of a galaxy, of a local group, of a galaxy group, there's so much more out there, and here we are fighting over one small piece. Is this all we are ever going to be, or are we going to try and do the hard thing, which is also the right thing, and try and overcome these challenges together? Because the question is, in millions of years' time, when future human beings, should they exist, are looking back on this time, are they going to think of this as the zenith of human civilization? Or are we going to be able to create something much greater, much better, much larger in the future? And why shouldn't we be pursuing that right now? One of the things that makes the World Federalist Movement really fascinating is the fact that we have people from both the left and right of the political spectrum. We have a big tent policy because we are fighting for a systemic change. Not specific policies, but a new system under which humanity can govern itself. In a lot of ways, we're like a new bridge that's formed to cross this gap that's existed between the right and the left that has just gotten worse over the past couple of decades. But I want to show you some of the people who are involved, so you see that it's not just me and it's not just you. So you sitting there on your computer or your phone watching this video can know for yourself that you aren't alone in believing this.
My name is Andreas Bummel and I'm one of the founders of Democracy Without Borders. Since my youth, I am a strong supporter of world federalism. Federalism is a way to achieve unity in diversity. This principle needs to be applied to how the world is governed. That's the most important political task of humanity today.
Hello, my name is Yasmina Gorshan and I am a World Federalist. in the end, really, world federalism is a concept that seeks to make the world work better and more efficiently, and that's something that we so desperately need in these times where the world is so polarized and being pulled in a million different directions. Something like world federalism can really be a solution to many of the wide-reaching problems we have, from climate to economy to the refugee crisis and everything in between. So if you're not a World Federalist, I think you should become one.
So I see the establishment of a World Parliament as the key innovation that would help us to finally solve our biggest problems like climate change, war and poverty, and open up a new chapter in human history.
There is a reason why the idea of a global government framework has existed for centuries, and that renowned people from Einstein and Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. have supported it. The world is in anarchy at the global level today. The highest level of government we have is the national level. Yet today, most if not all our issues are globalized, from technology, the environment, and travel. Now is the time to think like the global village that we are. We need a level of government that takes care of the issues that affect the brotherhood and sisterhood of humanity, regardless of what nation people are citizens of. Nations will still be sovereign and will still oversee their internal affairs. Yet the global government that we envision will mandate issues that transcend national boundaries.
Hello everyone, I'm Anisha Kargupta, a proud member of World Federalist Movement. I believe in one citizenship, one nationality, one caste, one race, and that is human being. We are one world, we are one human race. I don't believe in man-made country boundaries, and I'm proud to be a World Federal activist.
The case for global democracy is simple and it is urgent. Our economy has globalized, our impact on the environment has globalized, but our politics remains rooted in national sovereignty and it isn't working. For example, we have known for over 30 years that we need to reduce carbon emissions, yet they continue to rise because 193 sovereign nations cannot agree on effective action.
It is time for humanity to debate solutions to worldwide problems as a global democratic community. It is never too late for humanity to recognize our common history and build a common future together.
It defies reason that people living on one side of a river or mountain range may have free universal health care, and on the other side, they do not. Our world is getting smaller. The internet connects everyone in an instant. You can travel distances in a day that once took months. Our world has become one world. It's time for our national borders and our leaders to recognize that fact.
Hi, my name is Emilia. I am from Argentina, and today more than ever, I believe in World Federalism. I believe in World Federalism as a way to strengthen international institutions to deal with problems that can only be solved at the global level. As we all know, nation-states are incapable of dealing with global problems unilaterally, like climate change or this pandemic itself. So my mantra is global problems require global solutions, and therefore we need a better political system, more coordinated and more representative.
Hey, I'm Charlie. I'm one of the leads at Young World Federalists. I believe in World Federalism because, in my eyes, it's our last best chance for genuine world peace, to create a real chance for everyone to come together and work towards something better. As long as all nations are fighting, bickering, competing, we're not going to progress. We're just going to stagnate. We need to come together and tackle the problems we face together. In my eyes, we need World Federalism for that. And that's why I'm going to keep fighting for it every day.
World Federalism isn't simple by a long shot. It's not something that can or probably even should happen overnight. But I think what it does do is it really adds immensely to the conversation about what we want humanity to be. And that's why World Federalism appeals to me.
I think it's ridiculous that we haven't done this yet, to be honest.
It represents not only an ideal.
These borders that we all have, whether they be, geographical or completely invisible lines drawn in the sand.
And so I'm in favour of a global democratic system for a number of reasons, but the most urgent of those is to confront and manage the imminent climate crisis, which is already having disastrous effects on communities like this one and many other more vulnerable communities around the world.
Hello, it's Nurhan Sameh from Alexandria, Egypt. With the world becoming a pathetic place and with everybody staying passive about it, something has to change soon.
The best way to achieve that is to build a global political system based on democracy which respects the human rights of every person.
I believe we need World Federation not only to safeguard our existence against existential threats, but even more so to find out what we are collectively capable of as a species if our prevailing instincts were cooperation more so than just competition.
We have the capability to change the standard of living for every single person on this planet. But the efforts of the good alone is not enough. We must first unite together. That is why I believe in a World Federation, a representation of human rights for us all.
I support World Federation because it would bring about peace and because it would give us a kind of freedom that has not existed for at least hundreds of years to move through the world without being restrained by national boundaries. To me, both that and the abolition of war are two of the biggest ideas in human history.
This world is our home. We belong not to a nation, but to this planet.
What's up guys, I'm Adi, I'm from Germany. And I'm very sick of the political system failing all over the globe, and you see all the corrupt governments and stuff like this.
I mean, it just takes one person to stand up and speak out. And it's a chain reaction. We have to unify, we have to come together. We have to realize that this idealistic mindset for world peace is not impossible. That nothing is. Together we stand, divided we fall. That's the bottom line.
Speaking of my own group, the Young World Federalists, we've grown to just over 300 members in just under a year, and they're stretched all over the globe. And we have thousands of non-member supporters, and we are growing constantly. This is one of those really amazing ideas where the thing is, the only thing that holds it back is that people don't think other people are going to go along with it. So the thing is that as soon as other people do go along with it, it grows exponentially. And it benefits from that in the fact that all we have to do is demonstrate that enough other people are into this concept that it will grow and grow and grow until suddenly everyone is. If you ever wished for a world that just made more sense, one that was actually built around the world we live in today, join us, and I guarantee more people will follow you. We're in Japan, Bangladesh, India, Australia, all over Europe, in the USA, Canada, Argentina, Botswana. I'm probably forgetting some. We are in so many different countries, you would be astounded how widespread this concept is already. And we want you to be a part of this new change, this new wave, this new reality that we're building. Religion doesn't matter to us, political orientation doesn't matter to us, nationality doesn't matter to us. The only thing that matters is systemic change, building a new system that we can all be a part of and that will make more sense for the current world. So these are not new players playing the same game, this is a new game in a new place. A place where rational decision making is so much easier and democracy functions in the way that it's meant to. Because the idea of a democracy is that the people of a constituency vote leaders and vote for legislation, and then those things affect the world that they live in, and that's how they govern the place that they inhabit. But that's not how things work anymore. We vote for governments and we vote for laws that form a fragment of a much larger picture. And we just have to hope that every other piece of that gigantic picture agrees and votes the same way. But often they don't. Because there's a temporary advantage, there's a small power game, there's something that they can use when they say no or they say yes, and there's always strategic politics going on, and this is not how to run a democracy. This is not the way that things should work, because we live in a global system now. We don't live in just nations. No single nation on Earth has the power to actually make decisions for itself anymore. We don't live in that world anymore, and the longer that we ignore it, the more our systems just don't function at all. And that is the way we're going, and we are going to keep going that way until we change things. So I yearn to live in a democracy, in a system that actually reflects our desires and our requirements and is able to solve things at the level in which they occur, which is the global level. So many things now occur at the global level, no national government can handle those anymore. I believe in a system that is able to handle these things. I believe in a system that reflects common humanity and the things that we really care about and we really think. I want you to join us. I want you to help us make these things happen. I want to welcome you to a hopeful future, to a human one. Thanks very much.